Congratulations, Randolph Technical High School, class of 2020. You made it to this point. This momentous occasion is all about you, and we celebrate you today. Congratulations. Special shout out to valedictorian Jason Pollard and salutatorian Jahira Reddick. My name is Mike Robinson. I'm Director of Community Outreach and Hiring at Temple University, and I want to thank the administration for inviting me to be your commencement speaker. Today's theme is Blueprint for a Future, and I want to just give you a couple of nuggets to walk away with to help you on your road to career success or your pathway to college. Because some of you will readily enter the workforce, some of you will be going off to college. Whichever pathway you've chosen, the nuggets that I'm going to share with you today, I'm very hopeful that they will be beneficial as you move on to your respective goals. The first thing I want you to do is to embrace resilience. Life is full of adversities. In this life, you and I are promised a measure of some drama. You're going to have some trials, you're going to have some tribulation, you're going to have some drama that's going to come knocking at your door at some point. It reminds me of a gentleman by the name of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a famous psychiatrist. He was taken as a prisoner in the Nazi concentration camp. And during that concentration camp experience, he had loved ones, family, and friends that were tortured and killed constantly. And what was interesting, he maintained a positive attitude throughout, never knowing if the next day would bring death or torture to himself. He always maintained a positive attitude, which lets me know no matter what comes our way in terms of the drama, the trials, the tribulation, you and I have control over how we want to handle adverse situations. We could crumble and we can fall emotionally, or we could stand tall, maintain a positive attitude, and deal with the situation. Secondly, I want you to embrace perseverance. When life knocks you down, get back up. I know that's easier said than done. You're going to have some critics in the workplace that are going to criticize your every move. You're going to have some critics in the classroom at college that are going to criticize your mistakes. In this life, in your social arena of friends and family members and people that you're working around, you're going to have some haters. You're going to have some critics that are going to just always knock you down when you make mistakes. But you have to persevere beyond all of that to achieve your personal goals. It reminds me of this excerpt of a speech made by President Theodore Roosevelt, when he was visiting France. When he was in Paris at the Sorbonne, he gave this great speech, and an excerpt of that speech is famously known as Man in the Arena. And it goes like this: it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that neither knew victory nor defeat. I want you to embrace perseverance, because you're going to have some harsh critics, and sometimes your worst critics come from your most intimate circle, your family and your friends. But don't be dismayed. Be resilient, persevere, and then my third point, become a lifelong learner. Read, travel, visit museums, watch documentaries. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get it, and all thy getting, get understanding. Be a lifelong learner. Why is there benefit in that? The smarter you are, the harder it is for somebody to get over on you. Use the knowledge that you acquire from reading and traveling and visiting cultural places like museums and other things that inspire learning. The more you know, watch this, give it away. The one thing about knowledge, you can acquire a ton of wisdom, a ton of learning, a ton of knowledge, and you can give it all away. You can pour into someone else, mentor someone else. Be a lifelong learner that's about accumulating the wisdom, but pour it into someone else. So that, watch this, you can help the generation that's behind you come along just as strong. And then lastly, be worth knowing. Be worth knowing. I want to tell you a quick story and I'll conclude on this. This old man, this great-great-grandfather, was speaking to his great-great-grandson. And he pulled out this old beat-up watch. And he said to his great-grandson, he said, take this watch down to the pawn shop and ask the pawnbroker how much he'll give you for the watch. The young man went down to the pawn store and he gave the watch to the pawnbroker and said, can you tell me how much you give me for the watch? The pawnbroker said, I'll give you $150 for it. And he brought it back to his great-great-grandfather and said, the pawnbroker said $150. And then the grandfather said, I want you to take the watch now and I want you to take it down to the auction. And I want you to get it appraised and I want you to bring it back and let me know how much the auction would give you. He took it down to the auction. The auction said, okay, we'll have an appraiser look at it. The appraiser looked at it and the appraiser said, we'll give you $5,000 for this watch. The young man went back to his great-great-grandfather and said, the auction would give us $5,000 for the watch. And then the great-great-grandfather said, I want you to take this watch now down to the museum and ask what they would give. So the young man ran down earnestly to the museum and he asked the curator of the museum, how much would you give us for this watch? And the museum said, we give you $500,000 for this watch. And so in excitement, the young man ran back to his home and he told his great-great-grandfather, wow, you know, the museum, they want to give us $500,000 for this old watch. And then the grandfather says, I just want to prove a point. You need to know your worth. Some rooms aren't going to value your worth. Some rooms are going to, here it is, undervalue what you bring to the table. And you got to know your worth. Because some of us, here it is, are undervaluing who we are because of self-esteem issues. I want you to know that you're special. Why? Because one, you've achieved something here. You graduated. And I want you to know that you're an asset. You are a value. You matter. Your life matters. So embrace resilience, persevere, become a lifelong learner, and be worth knowing. God bless you. Congratulations to you. And I celebrate you and your parents on this great, momentous occasion. God bless.